From the Fans Talk Podcast family at fanstalkpodcast.com, this is episode 15 of Fans Talk Lucha and covers Lucha Underground Season 1, Episode 25, which aired on April 29th, 2015. My name is Garvin, and as always, from the 216, they call her my wife. Say hello, wife.
Oh my god.
That was my Melissa Santos impression. Was it good?
That was the worst Melissa Santos impression I've ever heard.
I'll get there. One day. If you like this episode and want to help us keep the series going strong, you can head on over to fanstalklucha.com, click the big green button, and support us for as little as $1 a month. Fans Talk Lucha is a podcast series that is brought to you exclusively by our friends who have stepped up and pledged a few dollars our way over on Patreon. Head on over to fanstalklucha.com for more about us, how to get involved, and access to the full archive. So, shout outs, some thank yous, and for all the likes and comments over on YouTube, Facebook, everywhere you guys reached out to us. Special thanks to Stony Guerrero, Sandra, Give Luchas a Chance, DeShippy, and Keith Tanner. You guys, always great. Always great. Also, Stony Guerrero for letting us know that the mysterious woman, her name is Black Lotus. I had read that before, but apparently it was said on air by Dario Cueto, so we'll take Stony Guerrero's word for that.
Thank you for being our memory, since we have done.
Thank you for being our memory. All right, let's go. So, what happened this week on Lucha Underground? We started off. Let's just warn you. There was a lot of segments compared to the last 4 or 5 weeks. You just felt like this episode was just packed with different things going on.
I felt like I was watching Passions. It was awesome.
Yeah, there was just so much stuff happening. I filled out my first side of my sheet of paper in the first half hour. It was just like segment. So, all right, let's get into it. Backstage, Cueto talks with the crew and basically criticizes them for, not winning the Trios Championship, for not getting the job done. It was an easy match. They already were going to beat, they were facing a team that was pretty much done already. So then he basically tried to motivate them by showing him his quote unquote brother, who is the monster that's, trapped in a cell upstairs. Apparently he's very tall, very monstrous. They all looked pretty scared.
I don't know. I think the crew is pretty short. So he might have been average height. So here's my question. When he says brother, does he mean brother in the Vampiro sense, in that everyone says brother, or does he mean brother as in family unit?
I would imagine he means brother as in family unit, but you never know. You never know with these wrestler types.
I hope he's just as sexy as Dario Cueto.
Like a taller, more built version of Dario Cueto. Also, quick props to the new band. It's Sergio Mendoza y La Orchestra.
I like them a lot.
Yeah, they were pretty good. Miles above the last band.
You can't go wrong with trumpets and maracas.
Yeah. All right. So first match, Killshot versus Phoenix. It was kind of interesting. They shook hands to begin, which is usually your sign that both are, technicos. They're both faces. So it was nice to see that Killshot, though representing the family, is more of the face type. So thoughts on this match?
I thought this was set up interestingly. This was a departure from the storyline we're used to with Phoenix, Neil, and Katrina. And this was also, I believe, the first time we've seen Killshot on his own.
Solo,
so,
yes.
Yeah, this was a good kind of solo debut for Killshot. And it was a good way for them to take a step back from that previous storyline that we had leading up to the casket match. So, all in all, I thought that was a nice intro.
Yeah, still no Katrina. It feels like Phoenix is just there. Like, I'm just waiting for something to happen.
Yeah, it's like he's biding his time.
Yeah, and I don't get it. Like, they had such a powerful, such a just involved story, and to just drop it, basically, is just odd.
They gotta save something for a rainy day, though. They've got other storylines going on, so they had this big, grand sort of climax with the casket match, and now they've backed away, and they're building up some other things.
Yeah, it was a good match. It was a good debut as far as a solo debut for Killshot, like you said. These two guys were really evenly matched, both same size, generally speaking. similar style. Overall.
I didn't realize Phoenix was as tall as he was until I saw him next to Killshot.
Yeah.
So that's one of the fun things about mixing and matching some of the people we're not used to seeing going up against each other is you get an idea of what else they can do besides what you're used to and, just how they look compared to someone else.
Backstage, Cueto talks to Drago, finds him in the bathroom because he knew exactly where he could find Drago, which is the bathroom.
He must be lactose intolerant.
He reminds Drago that he never said thank you for the opportunity that Cueto gave him. Because it was a great opportunity. He got a title match. He's going to get that tonight, except for it had that big caveat, which is if he loses his job.
So first of all, if my boss approaches me in the world's filthiest restroom and says, "You didn't thank me for the opportunity," I think I would leave and call HR.
There is no HR. And security was only there for twice.
Obviously, they have no real security. Aside from the filthiness of the bathroom and the general creepiness, that was a good scene. I don't usually like the arty segments. Usually they confuse me, but I love the way they were lighting Drago.
Yeah.
With the mask and the makeup and the lighting, it made his actual face look very reptilian. It was a very good effect.
Yeah, the red skin, it was almost orange, almost skin tone in some of the views,
lights, yeah.
So backstage, Cueto went from there, then he interrupted Puma sitting in the locker room, I guess mentally preparing for his match. He was just kind of working on his wrists or something. I don't know what's going on. But
mentally preparing for match, quotes.
So he notices that Puma is looking like he's not looking forward to this match. So he says, it shouldn't matter if he ends Drago's career. That shouldn't be on his mind because a true warrior doesn't care. A true warrior does what he needs to do to retain the championship and survive.
Dario's a busy bee in this episode. There's a lot of him walking around bothering other people. I did notice in this segment, this is like a continuation of this thing they've got with Puma where he never speaks. He just kind of sits around and pouts. He is definitely the emo wrestler.
Very, very pouty face, overall. It's hard to tell, how he really feels. Just because he looks the same no matter what.
Well, he always has his mouth turned down, and because he never speaks. And usually, we don't have any kind of background. Conan wasn't there to speak for him. It wasn't in the ring, so we didn't have the announcers telling us what was going on. It was very 1990s emo band.
Yeah, and actually right before this segment, we did get a little video package that said, coming up tonight was Hernandez versus Cuerno versus, they call him Cage, because they both had reason to blame Hernandez for losing the Trios Championship match. So Hernandez interrupts Cueto, basically talking to Puma, and threatens him and basically asks why is Hernandez being targeted by Cueto because he didn't do anything wrong. But really, it's that Cueto put him in what could have been a handicap match between Cuerno and Cage. So Cueto decides, well, instead of making it very apparent that it's going to be a handicap match, let's put a single goal on the line so that all three of them are fighting for the same thing rather than each other kind of thing.
That was well set up because when Hernandez first burst into the locker room there, Cueto actually seemed afraid of him.
Oh, yeah.
And so he kind of let Hernandez be big man and berate him a little, and then he turned around and reminded him that he's the boss, and if you want to wrestle, you're doing it under Cueto's terms.
And he put a lot of things in motion because the match changed to be a number one contenders match for the Lucha Underground champion. So whoever won this match was going to face the winner of Drago versus Puma. So that opportunity of them going with the story that I think we both thought they were going to go with, as far as Hernandez turning on Puma or turning on Conan, or maybe Conan turning on Puma. We almost are in a spot where it could potentially happen. So
I predict that next week we're going to have a scene where we see Hernandez washing his hands and Cueto coming into the bathroom and saying, "You didn't thank me for the opportunity."
All right. The next match was Famous B versus Ricky Mandel versus Vinny Massaro versus Argenis. And, well, actually it didn't really happen, but it was kind of odd because it was the 4 guys who had their arms broken by Pentagon Jr. all within the last 2 months, yet all of their arms were bandaged up, but definitely not broken, and every strike that they all connected with that right hand.
Well, let's be honest here. Obviously, no one had their arm broken.
Dude, kayfabe.
I don't know what that means. What's a kayfabe? I don't know what that means.
You're breaking the 4th wall. All of their arms were broken. Otherwise, what is Pentagon Jr. doing? If he's not breaking their arms, he's no longer deadly and serious.
Maybe he's a super awesome hypnotist, and they just think their arms are broken. New storyline for Pentagon Jr.
So there were people complaining, not necessarily with us. I think this was mentioned in the comments, but overall it was like laughing at those complaining about the Sexy Star versus Pentagon Jr. match, in that a loss for Pentagon Jr. against Sexy Star ruined Pentagon's credibility, which was laughable because it's not true at all. But I think this ruins Pentagon Jr.'s credibility because he was supposed to be like this angry guy that breaks people's arms and he's dangerous, yet all of these guys were back in the ring.
Maybe he's just really good at it and all the breaks were super clean and they just healed up really fast.
Yeah, maybe. All right, so anyways, this match did not happen because Tejano came out and attacked all 4 of them, as well as the ref, cleared out the ring, and then Tejano called out the guy from the crowd last week, which is Davari.
That is just not... I don't even understand why he had to interrupt someone else's fight to do it. He's like the biggest 10-year-old in elementary school, breaking up someone else's game and throwing a temper tantrum because he didn't like how things happened.
It did seem odd. I mean...
Why did he just send out an Evite? That's how we do things. It's 2015.
Yeah, Facebook events or something. It's odd. Like, it just kind of depends on how they're building his character. Yes, he could have just gone to the ring to call out the mysterious guy, or not mysterious guy. I'm sorry, the guy in the crowd. But that's more of like a face move, as far as standing up and calling someone out to stand up to their face kind of thing.
I'm surprised that that's a face move because in real life, that's the kind of dick move you see on Facebook. Someone will be like, you know who you are and don't think you can get away with it because I'll show you. Like, that's the sort of thing we don't tolerate in real life. Those people look like idiots, but here he is and he's like this big hero because he's calling out his antagonist.
Well, no.
I don't know.
Well, look at like Del Rio. Del Rio was wronged and he called out Tejano, but he did it in the middle of the ring, as far as like the respectable side of things.
In the middle of someone else's match?
No. This was different. This was Tejano attacking different people, and then going into that bit. So that's why this is more of like the heel maneuver. Obviously, that's what they're building him up as, this Rudo who doesn't care about the livelihood of those around him. He wants to get his way. I mean, what you were saying was correct. I'm just kind of surprised why they went in this direction specifically. But we're still learning Tejano and what his character is.
That's true. He's still kind of new to us.
I think I called him Del Rio, but I meant El Patron. Apologies. So after that, Davari wasn't there, by the way. So after that, outside, Cueto is talking on the cell phone, just going to the outside, as in outside of the building, and a dude named Marty the Moth interrupts him and wants a job, wants a spot to, a shot to compete in the temple, and Cueto says no. This
segment raised some major red flags for me. So, as someone who has worked in a not good area, I once worked at an all-night gas station in the murder capital of Ohio. What I have learned is that, number one, if you're on your cell phone, you do not go out back without someone else. And if you see someone there, you don't talk to them. Do you know who's hanging out outside your building after dark to talk to you?
Considering.
It doesn't matter. That's how people end up in dumpsters.
Well, it is Cueto.
The type of people you find behind your building are the type of people who are going to ask you to get into their van and try to sell you drugs.
Well,
this was not safe. I know that, I think he's a badass.
He's pretty safe, though.
And I think he's a very confident guy, but that was not a good move.
But Marty the Moth seemed pretty safe.
Did he? He seemed a little creepy to me.
I think you are looking too into this, because, he's fine. They survived. I'm sure maybe that's where the security is, outside. You just didn't see it.
But there was no security.
Well, but maybe the security...
I don't understand why sometimes there's security and sometimes there's not security. Well, it's like he's not paying his bills or something.
There's obviously a camera out there, so, you wouldn't commit a crime in front of a camera, right?
You'd think that. You'd think that. But have you seen the news?
So anyways, Cueto says no and turns around and hangs up his call to call security because it was,
a psychotic person lurking outside his building.
Around, yeah. So, back in the arena, we got Cuerno versus, they call him Cage, versus Hernandez in a number 1 contenders match. Brawler versus brawler versus brawler, basically. Pretty good match overall. We did get to see Marty the Moth again. He somehow was able to get into the arena and into the ring, got destroyed, and then I think security might have taken him away.
Yeah, Cueto calling security obviously did jack shit. Because not only did he run into the ring and cause all kinds of drama, he left just as quickly and smoothly as he came. Security didn't take him away. He just left. He went out by the door that said recycling. It didn't say security. It said recycling.
I missed it. I missed him being taken out. But yeah, so new character. Overall, Marty the Moth, kind of a jokey character. Are you okay with this introduction to him?
I love joke characters, but this introduction did give me a little bit of nervousness.
It was a little odd. I'm curious how he is in the ring. I do know, as far as this character's or this guy's background, I want to say he was part of maybe an early season of WWE Tough Enough. I can't recall. I read the headline and the first sentence of a story somewhere on the internet, but I didn't really go into it. But I think he's a former WWE tryout that never worked out.
I thought he looked an awful lot like Joe C. from the main podcast.
Yeah? You think so?
Yeah,
I didn't get that at all.
Maybe he's moonlighting in LA.
Maybe. He was in LA. Actually, he's in San Francisco right now as we record.
Dun, dun, dun.
Maybe this is like live for us, because we watch it on Fridays. Wouldn't that be creepy?
If I go over to his house and I find a fluorescent yellow t-shirt, I'm going to have questions for him.
All right. Vampiro interview of the Trios champions, Son of Havoc, Ivelisse, and Angelico. They basically argued the whole time on who was the team captain, who did the most work, if this was a highlight, but, of their career, but overall, like they were happy that they all won, but they don't like each other. And yeah, they might fight amongst each other, but overall they're fighting for that gold. So, it's kind of interesting.
It's super realistic. It's super realistic because if you think about your interactions every day, you know how many of us really like every single one of our coworkers. Sometimes you got personal drama. You don't agree. You fight over who's the leader. But ultimately, if you want to get paid, you work together as a team. And sometimes you work very well together, but you frequently don't like each other very much. I thought this is really realistic, as goofy as it is. The underlying theme of working well with people even when you don't like them personally. I thought that was really kind of mature.
Well, and they had a single common goal, which is to continue to have those trios championships. So, because it was brought into question, obviously Ivelisse got hurt, and this week she had a hard cast on her leg. So Vampiro asked, can you fight? And the agreed upon statement was basically, yes, she can fight, but it's because they fight together. So teamwork, I guess. Drago versus Prince Puma. This is the main event. Prince Puma is your champion. He's defending against Drago. If Drago loses, then Drago drops the title. Thoughts on this match?
This did not go the way I expected it to go. I was a little sad about it at first. Obviously, Drago lost. But what we had noticed earlier with the makeup and what we noticed when he got out in the ring, his costume was different. His colors were different. And as he exited, some of the special effects they'd put into his exit, I think that this is not a sad thing. I think that this is going to open the door for a newer, more interesting storyline for Drago. So, while the match was disappointing initially, ultimately I'm okay with it.
Okay. When you mean the match was disappointing, you mean
the outcome.
You didn't like that Drago lost.
Correct. I mean, I like Drago.
But the match was good, right?
Yeah, the match was great.
I thought the match was fantastic. Another solid main event, especially with Prince Puma. Drago hung in there, yeah. Looked like he could be champion one day. My only complaint, and you might not agree with how you looked at it, but while I did like the new color of Drago, like the reddish orange, in some lights it was gold, in some lights it was brown. I like it. Like you said before, it looked a little bit more reptilian than the blue. However, there were times when it kind of dipped into like fawn territory. You know, the half man, half goat.
Oh, like a satyr?
No, a fawn, half man, half goat. I looked on this Wikipedia. I did my research during this match of who I thought he looked like. It's not a satyr. It's a fawn.
So when you saw him, were you thinking demonic, or were you thinking of those creepy "He's Two Things" commercials by Old Spice?
The "He's Two Things" commercial. Yeah, because it was definitely like just the way the coloring on his legs and how it transitioned to his, his midsection and his chest, and then he had the horns, and to me,
that's a good point.
Like
that would almost be a good color scheme for King Croissant, King Cuerno, who is supposed to be this hunter, which they drive home every time they mention him. That would have been a better design maybe for his costume. Yeah.
So this match though. Back to
this
match.
Was kind of hard to watch at points for me because they really did a lot of very hard moves that
you had the head spikes.
Dangerous.
You had the really high impact DDTs. You had the
they were
Canadian
great.
Destroyer.
They were so impressive. They required so much skill, but knowing how much skill they require and how dangerous they are is kind of hard for me to watch sometimes because I'm always afraid I'm going to see someone get hurt.
No, and it did look pretty stiff. Overall, they did a great job.
They did a great job
there. Drago almost picked up the win. There was a ref bump, so that caused Hernandez to come out, and it looked like Hernandez was going to take out Puma, but instead Hernandez takes out Drago. Puma's not happy that he had to win in that way.
No.
But, Conan's like, you gotta take advantage of the situation. But it's hard to tell what exactly that situation is now. Conan looked pretty happy, but was he happy because Prince Puma won? Or is he happy because now it's going to be Prince Puma versus Hernandez next week or whenever that takes place?
It was hard to tell. And, Puma pouted his way through it, as he does, and he was pushing Conan away. So it was really hard to...
Yeah.
Their relationship is not what it was when they first introduced the two of them together.
Yeah. Conan didn't look upset that Hernandez got involved. Didn't look upset that Hernandez, almost took out Puma. So... that's a weird situation. I think we are going to get what I predicted before, which was Hernandez turns on Puma, which is obviously going to happen. But I think Conan's going to turn on Puma as well, just because Puma doesn't have the heart of a warrior. He's consistently feeling again, it's hard to tell because Puma always has the same face, but it always, you get the impression that he has compassion for his opponents.
Oh, absolutely. When he won this match, he had his arms around Drago and was just like in the other big matches we've seen, he's getting the crowd to cheer for the opponent, the guy who lost, and it was very touching.
But as we found out right after this match backstage, Drago said, "You will see me again." And
then he walks off into a cloud of smoke and fire. Yeah, red, it matches his costume. It was glorious. I know we're going to see some good stuff out of him.
Yeah. He walked through, like a shipping door. You've got like those semi-clear plastic dangly things, and he walked through that to the outside. And then, it was like this quiet explosion of fire, that faded away.
I was sad when it ended, but that ended it on a very good note.
Agreed.
I'm excited to see where this is going to go.
Yeah, the crowd said thank you, Drago. I don't remember the crowd doing the same thing when the last dude left.
No.
Superfly.
They were definitely on their feet cheering for Drago.
Yeah. So, all right. What was your win of the week?
I think my win was the way they turned around this Drago storyline. I'm excited for it. I anticipate what's going to happen next. I thought that was some good writing and some good staging and some good costuming. It all worked together very well right here at the end.
My win of the week is going to go to the team of Son of Havoc, Ivelisse, and Angelico. I thought the segment backstage was very good. Overall, I'm just enjoying their partnership and how they're moving forward. Your fail of the week.
Puma and that hat. I hate that.
The Puma hat?
The Puma hat that he's wearing. It's so stupid looking.
It is kind of odd.
It doesn't work well with the mask.
For a guy named Prince Puma to wear a Puma hat. Like, you know, cause you gotta figure that he's like this, like Puma would be like his spirit animal, as if like he's taking he's like the physical side of the spirit of a puma, yet he's still wearing like the headdress. It's odd. It works for Cuerno because Cuerno's a hunter, and the deer head, that's his prize. That's his,
It would be cool if Puma had to wear a hat, which I don't think he does because he already has a mask. But if he had to wear a hat, the hat could be like the face of whoever he defeated last.
Like in Minecraft.
Yes.
In Minecraft, there are mods out there. If you kill someone, you can take their head.
Yeah. If you're going to wear a hat, go big.
Agreed. All right. So final thoughts before we close out. Overall, good show.
It was a good show. I thought I had a final thought. But
compared to last week, did you like this better?
I liked it equally. This was just differently written. They are doing a good job of balancing matches with segments and moving the story forward. Sometimes it's not always smooth, but I think they're back into a groove. Yeah, and just to kind of add to that, last week I forget who said this. It was in the YouTube comments. Not necessarily critical, but did say that like we didn't like last week's show as much as they were expecting us to. But realistically, we did really like last week's show. The problem is that last week we recorded it a day early where our schedule was kind of very rushed,
kind of whack. So, that could have added to it. But yeah, overall, we were very ecstatic about who won the trios championship. Those matches, everything was good last week.
I think our commenter was correct though. Last week's show, it was okay for me up until the very end.
Yeah.
And then it was fantastic. This show was consistent. My feelings were that it was good consistently the whole way through. So sometimes the way the matches are placed or the lack of storyline explanation will sometimes cut into my enjoyment of an episode.
Sure. Yeah. My only thought about like this week as compared to last week, or really this week compared to the last 5 or 6 weeks, it was a lot. It seems like the last few weeks we got like spaced out content, so it's easier to digest and talk about. And it just seemed like there was segment after segment after segment after segment. They could easily space that out and still tell the same story.
This was good though because the segments were connected. When the segments are completely different,
that's true.
That is hard.
That's
but because it was Dario sort of shoehorning everyone into the position he wants them.
Yeah, and like
it worked really well.
For these segments, you usually get like segment is one scene and then the next segment is another scene. But this, they kind of all like flowed together in one single timeline. So I don't know. I mean, what they did this week was very good. I enjoyed the show, but it did feel really segment heavy.
Well, they wouldn't do this every week.
Sure,
either,
and they haven't. Yeah. All right, and that's it. For more about us, you can check out fanstalklucha.com. Also, drop a few pesos our way on Patreon. For the wife, my name's Garvin. Talk to you later. Goodbye.